What's going on, you guys? It's me back again for another video, and today I am going to be telling you another one of my R-rated story times. So what I'm hoping to do throughout this month is a sort of Vlogmas, but I'm just going to be so real with you that I have no clue how many videos I'm going to film. I originally was planning on starting on December 1st, as one would if they were doing a Vlogmas, but now it is already December 5th when I am filming this, and hopefully I can get it out later today, but, we'll just see. So it's kind of a delayed Vlogmas, and we're just gonna go from there, and we're just gonna see how many videos I can get by the end of December, and if this is the only one, then that might just be how it goes. While we're on the topic of things that should have started a while ago but didn't, this video is actually about how I spent my Halloween this past year, and I meant to film this video about a month ago, just like a day or two after it actually happened, but I'm just gonna be honest, things got a little too busy, so here we are a month later. It's Halloween story in December, sort of a Nightmare Before Christmas vibe. If you can get on board with that, then let's get started. So if you don't know this about me, which I'm not entirely sure why you would, unless you know me personally, I actually really enjoy Halloween. I like scary stuff, I like horror stuff, whether it's novels or movies or television shows or just the basic Halloween aesthetic. Anything spooky, scary, skeletons, I really enjoy it. So I was already thriving this time of year, and I actually spent the entire day of Halloween watching Haunting of Hill House and carving some pumpkins at my house, so it was a pretty good time. And normally I watch Over the Garden Wall every Halloween just because it's kind of a lighthearted, somewhat spooky cartoon show, although it's for children. I actually didn't this year, so that's still on my bucket list now in December, because I need to watch it this year because it's only an hour long. But anyway, so I spent the entire day watching Haunting of Hill House and carving pumpkins, running around to a few different stores just getting candy for kids, because the one thing I actually don't really like about Halloween is having to pass out candy. I'm just the person who puts it all in a giant bowl and then sets it out and turns the lights on, and sometimes I'll leave a note that says take one, but other times I don't really care and I'll just let the kids have at it. Side note, I'm pretty sure this year I actually did put out a sign that said take one, and I'm pretty sure somebody just took them all, because there were not that many trick-or-treaters in the subdivision. When I came out later, all the candy was gone. So yeah, I had to actually run out again and get some more, but then at that point it was a little too late to get Halloween candy, so then I just was left with a giant bowl of Halloween candy still out the next day because nobody else came after that. So the story actually begins a week before Halloween, when I had gotten a DM from this guy that we're friends now, but we definitely met through a hookup app. I can't really remember exactly how that started because I've known him for a couple years, but he sent me a DM and wanted to know if I wanted to come to his Halloween party. And I had seen the kind of parties he throws before. They're definitely not just invite your family to parties. They're definitely for the guys, and lots of stuff goes down at them. So I told him I might, I'm not really sure. It wasn't a super crazy oh, you have to RSVP so we know how much food to get kind of party. He's oh yeah, show up if you can. If you don't, it's not that big of a deal. So honestly, I was just kind of planning on not doing it. I just assumed I was not going to be in the mood, but what day was that? Thursday? Friday? What day was Halloween this year? I can't remember. But that day rolls around. I had done most of my Halloween activities, and it was getting late. Trick-or-treaters had started to slow down. This was after I had ran to the store again. And I was in the mood a little bit. I was starting to scroll through the apps a bit and wondering what kind of trouble I could get into on Halloween. A little bit of a little more of a trick than a treat situation. So I messaged him and I was wondering hey, party's still going on, whatever, and he was yeah, come on by if you want, but just so you know, it's a masquerade party, so do you have a mask? And while I had been running around looking for Halloween candy, I was also kind of keeping a passing eye for a Halloween mask because I wasn't sure that I was going to go to this party. I was kind of thinking at that point that I might want the option, but I wasn't sure. But I had gone to 3 separate stores and none of them had Halloween masks, and one of them was Target. And while I was walking around Target on Halloween nights, they were actively taking down their Halloween stuff and putting up their Christmas stuff, which is crazy, even though they had already had Christmas stuff out for a while, because now Christmas stuff comes out in I don't know, September. It was just kind of crazy to me that it's Halloween night and they're taking down the Halloween decorations to put up Christmas. What a weird liminal space to be. But none of them had anything, and I was freaking out. So then as I had finished my like errands, I was like, all right, I guess I can't go to the party because I don't have a mask. So I just told my friend that, and I was like, hey, I don't have a mask, and I know that's literally the one requirement for going out to your party. And he's like, don't worry about it, I have plenty, so if you come, I will run out to the car when you get there and I will give you one. And I was like, perfect. So anyway, at this point it was probably around like 10 p.m. I think. I might just be making that out, but it has definitely been dark for a while and the trick-or-treaters had slowed down for a little bit, so I'm gonna pretty solid guess it was around 10:30. Pull up to his house, message him, tell him I'm here. He says, all right, be out there in a second. He comes out wearing a towel, which was insane because it was like cold, and I'm pretty sure it was also kind of raining. Not like too hard, but it was definitely like sprinkling. So he's wearing a towel, which is a pretty strong indicator of how the party was already going. Hands me the mask. He actually did have one, and it was like a decent one because I had seen some like paper masks at the stores, and I was like, that's not gonna work. But he hands me like an actual decent one that someone would buy had they thought ahead for throwing a masquerade party, and hands it to me. We walk inside. It's a great time. So this is where it starts to get a little raunchy. He takes off his towel and he is basically just wearing like briefs, like that's it. And the kind of rule for this party was that you had to wear a mask, but that's all you had to wear. So you literally did not have to wear anything except for the mask. And within about 4 seconds is when I started seeing some people's. Now, this isn't the first time I had gone to a party like this. It's not my scene, so I'm definitely not the kind of person who's like going out to the clubs all the time and getting into all sorts of trouble, but it was not the first time I had been in this kind of scenario. So I wasn't totally shocked, but it was definitely like well, like I'm wearing jeans and a t-shirt and I think maybe a jacket, and my friend's wearing like neon underwear, and there's like 3 people with their dicks out already. Just like standing in the, I don't know what you'd call it, like the foyer area. It was just kind of like a medium-sized house out in the suburbs with a nice big fenced-in yard, which will become relevant later. So anyway, he's already off socializing with lots of people, and I wasn't immediately gonna get down and dirty because I had just gotten here, and I had also not eaten dinner, so I was like pretty hungry, so I knew he was gonna have food here, so I was like, all right, before I even understand what's happening, like what the vibe of this party is, I'm gonna go and get some food. So I start walking. With the layout of his house, the master bedroom is on the main floor, and I actually walked by it. And literally, like, as I'm walking to go and get, like, chips and dip or whatever, I look over to the side, and there's this, like, 6'4" guy just, like, absolutely a twink in this guy's bed, basically, which he was fine with because like all the doors were open and he knows what happens at his own party, so he was definitely like left all the bedrooms open on purpose. So immediately within like 2 minutes of being in this guy's house, not only have I seen multiple people's but I saw people actively in his bed, which like I'm not gonna judge, like, hey, maybe I'll join in later, but like first things first, we're getting chips. So I walk into the kitchen. It's kind of on the other side of the main floor, so I get a pretty decent vibe of the party. There's some lights, some like generic Halloween Monster Mash style music playing. Some people were getting crazy, other people were literally just like talking on the couch having a nice time. So I walk over to the kitchen, and that's actually when I run into my friend's husband. He was just kind of standing around in the kitchen, and I think him and I are maybe a little bit closer than I am with the guy who I'd been DMing and talking to as my friend. It gets kind of confusing. So I think me and his husband are maybe a little bit closer. So I actually just went into the kitchen, got a plate, and got some chips. They literally just like piled a plate full of nacho cheese Doritos, and his husband comes up and starts talking. So we're just like talking for maybe like 10-15 minutes, like, oh, how's your Halloween, like, what's going on? Which is when I see somebody go out the back door and into their backyard, and what immediately jogs in my memory is that they have a hot tub. Now, because it was cold outside, I had just kind of assumed that they had closed their hot tub for the winter, as people would with like a pool, but I guess hot tubs are kind of different rules. So I immediately like grab my friend's husband, who is also my friend, and I'm like, wait, is your hot tub open? And he's like, yeah, it's like people are going in and out. Definitely. And they have a nice big like privacy. It's not like officially a privacy fence, but it's a pretty tall fence, so like none of their neighbors are going to see anything. So I'm immediately like, well, we have to go there. So he's like, yeah, that's fine. I haven't been in yet tonight, but we can definitely go out there once you finish your chips, because like we know that I wasn't going to go out to the hot tub until I had finished these Doritos. So anyway, A few minutes pass, keep talking, we head out, we go out to the hot tub, which is when I kind of had the realization, because just in the back of my mind, I was kind of thinking, I was like, oh, I'll just wear like the underwear I'm wearing to the hot tub, because I think normally I wear these kind of just like basic like nylon underwear, which can, I don't know, are sort of like swim trunks. I feel like cotton is a very different experience and these aren't that. So I just assumed it was the normal underwear I was wearing. But the ones I was wearing actually were cotton. They were like these Halloween underwear that I got from American Eagle a couple years ago. Because like, of course I was going to be festive. It's like the one day a year that I can actually wear these underwear, even though I like definitely wear them year round. But they were cotton and I was like, I don't know that these will hold up too well in the hot tub. And I didn't want them to just like completely be ruined. And he's like, well, you don't have to wear anything as long as you're still wearing your mask. So I was like, but you have to do it with me. And he was like, well, I actually have swim trunks. And I was like, well, it doesn't really matter, because if I'm going skinny dipping in your hot tub with a bunch of these people that I don't know, then like you have to do it with me. And he was like, well, fine. So we stripped down, and it definitely was cold, so I wasn't about to spend 10 minutes standing around chatting. We walk up to the hot tub, fully naked except for our masks, and that's when I see that there's probably about like 5 or 6 other guys in the hot tub already. It was a pretty decent sized hot tub. Like, it's bigger than maybe like the average one that I would see. I would say, I think most of them were naked. I mean, there were these 2 guys who were like sitting next to each other, and they were like definitely, there was some action happening. And then there was this other guy who was sitting on the edge of the hot tub, like kind of facing us as we walk around to the entrance of it, and he was getting his, there was already some like pretty intense action. And then me and my friend got into the hot tub and just kind of hung out and started talking for a while, and that was it for maybe a good like 15 minutes. We were just hanging out, because if you've never been in a hot tub when it's like cold outside, the winter, I don't think it was quite cold enough that you could see your breath, but it was still like, it was definitely chilly out, like you'd want a jacket. But going into a hot tub when it's cold outside is like peak, like it's the best thing you can do. It's so relaxing. So anyway, for a little while we were just hanging out and chatting. Some of the other guys were kind of coming and going. They did have a rule about not in their hot tub, because like it with the filters, which is fine, respect it. If these people are going to host a party and they have like 2 rules, 1, wear a mask, 2, don't in the hot tub, then like probably best to abide by those. But so we keep talking, we're having a good time, and I've hooked up with this guy before. I've hooked up with both him and his husband separately and together, and eventually he just reaches over and starts his under the water. So of course I do the same, because he has a really nice and I wasn't going to pass up an opportunity to play with it a little while. We weren't really in like a hurry for anything, because it was still pretty early in the night, and honestly we were kind of still just talking while we were doing it, like a little bit absent-mindedly. But a few times he actually stuck his head under the water, which I was not complaining about. So anyway, I'm sitting on the edge of the hot tub because a few of the other guys had kind of given the nod, we're staring a little bit, and I don't really mind putting on a show, so I sit on the edge. He's between my legs, and I start getting kind of close. And I'm pretty sure at one time, one of the other guys was like kind of while my friend was giving me, but I don't really remember. Also, I feel like I haven't put enough emphasis on the fact that everybody was still wearing masks, so you like couldn't tell who these people were. I mean, you kind of could, like I knew a few of them were like friends of friends, or acquaintances, or just like other friends that I knew, but I'm pretty sure nobody in the hot tub I specifically knew well. There was like one other guy that I had kind of known, talked to before, but not really. So anyway, but yeah, so and then he swallowed it, so none of it got in his hot tub, and I feel like even if it did, that's not my fault, and he was the owner of the hot tub, so I think it all worked out pretty well. And then we just kind of went back to hanging out and chatting in the hot tub. After maybe like 20 minutes, we got out, got dressed, toweled off, then got dressed, how about, and went back inside. I had some more Doritos, excellent, and then I think maybe after like 30-45 minutes later I headed home, and I think that's when I watched the last episode of Hill House. So primo Halloween experience. One of the best Halloween parties I'd been to, even though it wasn't like I'm not the kind to like hang around and dance for a long time, but it was still pretty good. I had a pretty great time, so I thought I would share that with you. I'm definitely gonna have to like cut certain parts of this for YouTube, because I'm sure YouTube's not gonna want to hear this, but I will be posting the full like uncut version on my OnlyFans for people to watch, because honestly, like when people tell stories like this, I would rather just like pay a couple bucks and like have a place where I can watch the full uncensored version, as opposed to like being treated like a child, having to censor everything out. But I am going to be posting both versions, so if you want to see the full thing, you know where to go, and I will see you guys in the next one, and we will see just how many of these I can pump out in a month. But I hope you guys are having a great start to your December, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.